Hello everyone, welcome back to What If Deku Had Chakra. Be sure to like, share, and check out the author Belinsky Simp as they have some really good Naruto fanfics. The link will be in the description down below. And with that, let's begin. Chapter 41, Coda. Third person POV. Class 1A were given their lunch and Shota helped the pussycats by giving them vegetables, and Izuku wanted to talk to the kid but the younger one didn't seem of any interest. The boys were then taken to a hot spring where they all sat in silence until Izuku heard Mida climbing the wall trying to reach the girls' part of the hot spring. Luckily Coda, who was standing up the wall, pushed him off, but the kid also lost his balance as he also fell. Izuku immediately caught him, but the teen seemed to have assed out, so he took him to the pussycats and one of them put him on a coach to help him calm down. I asked Coda to stay up there to keep watch since Aizawa told me that one of the students is girls obsessed. Thank you for saving him, said Mandalay. Izuku only nodded as he looked at the kid with worry. Coda doesn't seem to like heroes much. That's really new to hear. Everyone around me dreams of becoming a hero, yet he seems to hate them even though he's a kid and doesn't show any evil or sinister presence to say that he's controlled or manipulated, said Izuku. You're really observant. Coda acts like this because he didn't get to experience a normal childhood, added Mandalay. When Izuku asked her what happened to the kid, Pixie Bob opened the door while talking. It was Coda's parents, Mandalay's cousins that is. They were heroes that passed away 2 years ago while saving a civilian. That incident left him devastated while everyone considered their death noble. Coda considered his parents as traitors who had left him behind. He doesn't seem to like us either and probably thinks that he's stuck here since he has nowhere else to go. That's why he doesn't like heroes. After all, if his parents hadn't been heroes, they wouldn't have passed away, said Pixie Bob. Izuku was stunned by that entire statement, but he nodded in understanding. The next day, Aizawa waked them up before dawn and started their training. He informed them that the camp was for them to go past their limits and show how far they've come since the beginning of the year. And you, Izuku Yagi, you're not allowed to help anyone. Go train Iya from her so that everyone learns to rely on themselves instead of relying on you, ordered Aizawa. The class wanted to argue, but Aizawa glared at them with his quirk activated, making them close their mouths. Izuku nodded before jumping away to start his own training. Class 1B arrived and went next to Class 1A's training ground and saw them training. The pussycats consisting of Mandalay, Pixie Bob, Ragdoll, and Tiger arrived and introduced themselves and their quirks to Class 1B. Tiger asked any student with simple power augmenting quirks to go to him. Izumi was seen stretching and Tiger asked her to attack him. Izumi used 5% Detroit Smash, but Tiger was able to dodge Izumi's move effortlessly. Tiger retaliated by punching Izuku and notes that her muscle fibers had not yet teared. Aizawa explained to Class 1B that the pussycats have large area of effect quirks that can help and train dozens of students all at once, saying that it is the best way of advancing everyone's quirks in a short span of time. Tiger encouraged Izumi to push her quirk to the limit. Izumi got up and understood that it was up to her now to discipline and train her body in order to use more of One for All's power to defeat her brother. Behind a tree, Coda was watching everyone unaware of the presence behind him until Izuku tapped his shoulder. Hey Coda, you seem pretty interested in this training. Would you like to come train with me? Asked Izuku with a smile. The kid only glared at him before running away, not giving him any answer. Later that day, Pixie Bob and Ragdoll provided Class 1 of food materials and told them that they must make their own food from then on. Ada saw that as survival skill training and motivated his class to start making curry. Class 1 began making their own curry, but Izuku was nowhere to be found. After finishing their cooking, Class 1 decided to eat their curry. Watching from afar, Coda noted that their training is a waste of time and left. Izuku, who was meditating in the forest unsure of what to train with, noticed Coda, who was running away. Yo Izuku, I finally found what you should train with. Learn the Chidori, said Sarad in his mind. Why would he need that? He has the Rasengan and it's stronger, said Boruto. Yeah, it's stronger, but the Chidori has so many variants and it has a bunch of variants that would help him. Izuku himself said that he has no strong lightning jutsu and the Chidori is a very strong lightning jutsu, answered Sasuke. Oh yeah, and he has the Sharingan at 3 Tomos, so he doesn't need to worry about the Chidori's drawbacks, added Naruto. Izuku listened carefully until he heard one of the pussycats calling Shota for dinner. But from what he remembered, the kid ran away a few minutes ago. Izuku went to the pussycat's cabin and took a plate of food. He then tracked Coda's life force down and went its way. Coda was sitting alone on a cliff and he was obviously hungry as his stomach was rumbling. Suddenly, Izuku approached Coda with a bowl of curry, surprising the kid. How did you find this place? Asked Coda. I traced down your presence. Here, take this plate. I'm guessing you didn't hear your cousin calling you, said Izuku, handing him the plate. I'm fine, I don't want this food. Get lost, I don't want to hang with some wannabe hero that's spending his entire life pointlessly just to show off, said Coda. You're still a kid and you need these nutrients, but that's besides the point. Your parents were the water hoses, right? I heard about what happened to them and I've seen them before. You greatly resemble both of them, Kota mentioned Izuku. Mandalay told you right. Everyone here is crazy calling each other villains and heroes and focusing on their quirks just to show off. If my parents didn't want to show off like them, they'd still be here. Idiots, sewed out Kota. So he hated not only heroes but also quirks in this stupid society, thought Izuku. You know, I've dreamt of becoming a hero since I was kid, but I was deemed quirkless and that led to me being abused and neglected, yet that never stopped me. I never wanted to show off, I wanted to help all the people that are in need of help. I just recently got my quirk and while it helped me, I still don't rely on my quirk only. I'm a hero for the world, not for my quirk. I'll keep the curry here. I hope you think about what I said. I have training to do, said Izuku. He put the plate down and walked away, leaving Kota to his thoughts. Chapter 42, Hero. Third-person POV. Izuku went to the forest and started training with the Chidori, which Sasuke and Sarada told him how to perform. It didn't take him long to use it, but wanting to master it, Izuku spent the entire night training with it. He didn't even show up the second day. None of the students or teachers saw him as he was busy mastering his new jutsu. He didn't show up until the moon, where his classmates alongside Class 1B were cooking food. Hey guys, need a hand or two? Asked Izuku. It would be really appreciated, Izuku-kun answered Ida. Izuku smiled before cleaning his hands, then helping his classmates with the food. He looked at where Kota was previously standing but couldn't find him, so he theorized that he might have gone to his secret hideout. After they all finished cooking and eating, Izuku took a plate to give it to Kota so he could have some food while Class 1A and B were having a contest. While on his way, Izuku felt a huge evil taking over the entire camp, so he immediately created 4 clones and one of them went in their own way. Izuku was the one that went towards Kota to make sure that he was okay. His classmates and the heroes can take care of themselves, but what can a kid do? Izuku rushed towards the cliff, and once he arrived, he found the kid held by the neck by a huge buff man. Izuku glared before jumping beside the villain, kicking him back and taking Kota in his arms. The villain stood up and the cape he was wearing was let loose. Both Izuku and Kota's eyes widened when they saw who it was. Papa, Mama, mumbled Kota. Muscular, added Izuku. A layer of muscle appeared in the villain's hand and he rushed to hit Izuku by the latter, jumped in a blink of an eye. Izuku tore off a piece of his clothing and used it to wrap Kota to his back. He then punched the villain with a chakra confused UCH strong enough that it shattered most of the cliff. The villain glared at him before punching him once again. Izuku couldn't dodge it, as he was focused on Kota. Izuku was punched straight in the arm. What's wrong, stupid hero wannabe? Weak. I wonder why they want you out of everyone else, spat out the villain. Izuku froze in his place while wondering who in the world wanted him. Stop talking to crazy guy. Because of people like you, the world is as bad as it is. Remember the water hoses, you are the one that killed them, cried out Kota. Oh, you're their kid? Well, isn't it fate? Your parents are the ones that stood in my way. What happened to them was their own choice, answered the villain. Izuku was getting annoyed with Muscular. He charged a punch strong enough that the rest of the mountain was turned to dust. He took Kota in his hands and jumped away to ensure that the kid was okay. The villain then appeared again, this time with a huge hole in his torso. He saw the villain's muscles taking over his entire body as he rushed towards him with speed that Izuku had never seen before. Izuku ridged it, but his leg was in the way, and the latter punched it, shattering it completely. The villain smirked before he felt water on his face. He looked up at the two and found water droplets on the kid's hands. Water, just like your parents, huh? Smirked the villain. Izuku created a clone that took Kota and jumped away with him while Izuku turned to look at the villain. You chose the wrong Jerry in training to mess with, Izuku uttered. Before the villain could question what he said, Izuku got into his Tenseigen chakra mode and kicked the villain into the air. He flew after him and created a Rasengan, which he smashed into the villain's head, causing him to fall down into the ground, shattering the surrounding area. Izuku then jumped next to him and looked him straight in the eye. The Muscular stared with fear as he saw the teen's baby blue Tenseigen eyes slowly turning to deep red eyes with 3 Tomo in them. Izuku looked at him with dull eyes before he spoke. You love seeing blood from what I know. Let me show you some, spat out Izuku. He raised his hand and purple-blue electricity appeared in his palm. He used that same hand to stab the villain next to his heart. He didn't kill him, but he made sure to teach him a lesson. Kota was taken back to the original Izuku. The kid looked at him with terror and tears, but the teen smiled back at him. Kota, if all of the villains are this strong, then we are in huge danger. They are looking to take me I don't know where, so you can't stay beside me much. Let's go to camp, said Izuku. The kid nodded before hugging his hero. Izuku smiled, then touched the villain's hand, teleporting the 3 of them. Where he teleported them stood Aizawa alongside a guy with scars on his hands. He saw the man turn into clay, which confused him. Izuku put Muscular down, then followed Aizawa, who went to the forest. Uncle Shota, the villains are after me, I think. Please keep Kota safe. I need to go inform Mandalay so she could tell the rest I have a plan, said Izuku. Aizawa nodded. He then asked Izuku to inform Mandalay that the students are the targets and that Eraser had allowed the teens to use their quirks and engage in combat. Izuku did just that. Once he arrived, he saw Mandalay getting attacked by a lizard guy with a sword. Izuku rushed towards him and shattered his sword, then kicked the villain away. Mandalay, Mr. Aizawa told me to inform you to use your telepathy and tell everyone that they're allowed to engage in combat. Also tell them Had I sent a clone to every group. The villains are after me, so that'll distract them for a little, said Izuku. Mandalay nodded before sending the message. She looked at Izuku and saw that his leg and arms were shattered. Go back to camp, you're really injured, she ordered. Izuku shook his head and bit his other arm, healing his injuries as if they never existed. Izuku rushed towards the other villains standing in the R with Mandalay and Tiger. He quickly activated his Tensegan and entered his chakra mode. He then used some truth-seeking orbs to keep the villain's stick in place. He stepped on his face, mocking him out, then raw towards the lizard guy, doing the same plan to put him down. Izuku winced a little as he felt all of his clones taking down the villains around the camp. Chapter 43, My Hero. Third-person POV. All of Izuku's clones were rushing to aid his classmates in Class 1B to take down the villains that were facing them. It didn't take long before most of the villains were taken down by the heroes in training with the help of Izuku. Unfortunately for him, he was too slow to stop a maniac from cutting both Uraraka's arm and Tsu's tongue. He was fast enough to find the rest of the heroes in training and teleport all of them back to camp. But while he was fighting a guy with a poisonous gas, he defecated him. But saw another villain throwing a small blue ball his way. That's when their plan hit him. He created a clone without anyone noticing it, and the clone stood still as the ball hit him while Izuku teleported away where no one can see him. Once the man, whom was wearing a mask so they couldn't see his face, took the ball, he told the other students that they were too slow. Vanguard Action Squad, I've acquired the target. Meet me at the retrieval point in 5 minutes, said the villain. The other villains heard him and did as told as they stood together waiting for him. The heroes in training had no idea what was happening as they were sitting in the camp after Aizawa ordered them to. Only Tetsu and Itsuka knew. They immediately informed Aizawa of what happened to the teen. Izuku is captured, said Aizawa to himself. Everyone around him looked at him with wide eye when they heard that. They quickly left to look for Izuku all throughout the forest until Shoto found them and informed the rest. Shoto alongside Izumi and Bakugo stood together until Kurogiri appeared and teleported most of the villains away. The villain that took Izuku stood in front of them and smiled before revealing the small ball he had. He started entering the gate, but before he completely got teleported, he flicked his fingers. Izuku appeared out of thin air and looked at the three without a hint of fear in his eyes. The rest of the heroes appeared then, but they weren't fast enough to catch Izuku as he and the villain entered the gate. "No!" screamed out Kota, seeing his hero getting taken away. The rest of the heroes were frozen in their places. "I call myself a hero, but I couldn't save my own nephew," asked Aizawa to no one in particular. The students were too shocked to utter a word. Izuku said Uraraka to herself. "Yes," came the voice of the teen. Everyone turned and saw the student with no scratch on his body. "Izuku," said Aizawa as he rushed towards his nephew. "Oh, come on, you really thought that I'd get caught by some weaklings like those?" asked Izuku. He smiled at them as 3 more Izukus appeared, then poofed away. "I sent a clone of mine with them. I will keep it summoned though. It'll be useful for now," said Izuku. The rest looked at him with confusion, but Aizawa and Vlad seemed to have understood what he said. Izuku saw Kota hiding behind Aizawa and he smiled at him. The kid ran towards him and hugged him with tears in his eyes. "Thank you for saving me. And I'm sorry for what I said before," said Kota. "Hey, it's okay, kiddo. Come on, let's put those flames off," said Izuku. Kota nodded before standing up and using his water quirk to put off some of the fire. Izuku also used some water jutsus to put the rest off. Once all the fire was off, Yue decided that it was time to go back to school and discuss everything. "Thank you again, my hero," said Kota as he was saying his goodbyes to Izuku. "You're welcome again, kid. Promise me that you'll enroll into UA and become a hero just like I'm working and becoming," said Izuku. "Yes, sir," said the kid while saluting. Izuku patted his head before going to the bus which took them to school. All of the students went to their classes. Izuku already healed all of their injuries, so they didn't have to be hospitalized. Izuku, on the other hand, was taken to a meeting where all of the staff of UA alongside some of the top heroes were. "So Izuku, a clone of you is with the villains. Aren't you worried that they'd do anything to it?" asked Hawks. "My clone is with them, but they aren't capable of doing anything to it. The clone has no real body. It might be nearly as strong as I am, but it's still a clone without any blood for them to experiment on nor any DNA or quirk," explained Izuku. "Okay, but why in the world would you keep it there? Aizawa told us that you did it for a plan," asked Magneta. Izuku didn't feel like answering her, but he had to, since if he didn't it would probably sound suspicious. "Once I poof my clones, the knowledge they gained is transported to me. The villains are definitely going to take my clone to their hideout for whatever reason. Once they're done with what they plan on doing, I'll poof him in just like that. I'll have the location of the League of Villains," exclaimed Izuku. Back with the League of Villains, Izuku was tied down with all kinds of devices to keep him unable of using his powers. Toga, which is the villain which had hurt Uraraka and Sue back in the camp, was talking about how great his blood would taste while he was trying to stay away from her as much as possible. The Claims tried to convince him to join their league and telling him about how the Hero Society was wrong. When he showed no sign of interest, a man with a black breathing mask and black suit appeared in front of him. "Well, Yagi, if choosing the league isn't a choice, then how about we make use of this great quirk of yours?" he said. "All for one," thought Izuku to himself. The man touched his head and activated his quirk, trying to steal the power of the younger guy, but it seemed of no use. All for One was about to question it, but Izuku smirked, then poofed into smoke. "A clone, we were tricked," said Shigaraki. "So you're saying that in any moment now you can find the league?" asked Endeavor back in the meeting. "That's what I'm saying. Oh, never mind, my clone proofed I already have the location," said Izuku. Both the heroes and the villains were frozen in place, unsure what to do. And with that, I'll see you all in the next part. For those who are interested, we have a Discord down below. Be sure to aim for the stars, drink plenty of water, and for us to cause chaos. With that, take care until next we see each other again.